All right, we're going to solve absolute value equations. So we're going to solve equations that involve the absolute value. So let me make sure that we're clear on what the absolute value is. The absolute value is just the distance from zero. So the absolute value is the distance from zero. I know that sometimes people say, oh, it's always positive. Well, that is like a result of the absolute value, but that's not what it is. In order to really know how to solve absolute value equations, you need to understand that it's the distance from zero. All right, let me say that differently. So if I said like the absolute value of 5, that's what that says, absolute value of 5. That means that it's 5 units from zero, right? And if I had a number line, if I were to look at a number line, this is 0, I could go 5 units this way and get to positive 5, or I can go 5 units this way and get to negative 5. So saying that it's 5 units from 0, I could end up at 2 different locations. So if I'm looking at that, I'm really looking for the set, and that's that little fancy bracket, just means the set of what could be in there. It could be negative 5, or it could be 5. So the absolute value of 5 means that something is 5 units from 0. Okay? Now, if I said the absolute value of x, that means it's x units from 0. That means whatever it is, it can be x units this way, or it could be x units that way. So I'm looking at x and negative x as my possibilities. Now, when I tell you that the absolute value of x is equal to 2, I'm telling you that x is how far from 0? 2. I'm telling you that the absolute value is 2. So I'm saying that x is 2 units from 0. Again, on the number line, if I were looking at that, if there's 0, 2 units this way, I would have an x. 2 units this way, I would have an x. Okay, so I'm really saying with that, make sure that's still on my screen here, it is, that x is equal to negative 2 or x is equal to positive 2. Okay, you might see that same solution set written as x is equal to, and then just have, that's a bell. Ignore that bell. Negative 2 and 2. All right, so that's the background of it. Maybe I'll do one example of it here and then do another video with a couple of other examples in it. Let's take a look at this example. I've already done a really basic one with x equals, the absolute value of x equals 2. That's a really, really basic one right there. Let's step it up a little bit because the process will be the same. Let's say the absolute value of x minus 80 is equal to 5. Now that looks a little bit different, but it's the same idea if you use what an absolute value means. I'm saying that something is 5 units from 0. Now you don't have to do this, but in my mind, I see this. If this is 0, if I go 5 units this way, and if I go 5 units this way, I'll end up at 5 and negative 5. Now what exists at 5? Well, this whole thing right here, because it's the absolute value of that whole thing. So I'm going to write an x minus 80 because that is 5 units from 0. But it's also 5 units from 0 in this direction, so I have an x minus 80 here as well. So in reality, I have 2 equations. There's one, there's one. And if you pay attention to what we talked about before, everything had 2 possibilities. This is no different. All right? I'm going to speed this up just a little bit because now I have x minus 80 equals negative 5, and I have x minus 80 equals positive 5. And I can solve both of those things, and I'll come up with my answer. In the next video, I'll start off with that, but I wanted to make sure we were solid with this.